La Sirena gets eaten by a giant flower that kind of looks like an orchid. Rafi has to use her imagination to fix things. And a spoonful of Sutra and some Romulan go down. Hey, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton. And our very special guest, writer, director, producer of Fifth Passenger, Scott Baker. My name is Ryan T. Husk, and we are reviewing Picard Season 1, Episode 9, Et Arcadia Ego. How you guys doing?
Hey, I'm quarantined.
Good.
Living large.
Nice.
Living the self-quarantine dream.
Yeah. Let me out! Let me out!
I don't know though. Did you get did it work? A spoonful of Sutra and some Romulan?
No, that didn't go down good. It didn't swallow well for me.
It came back up.
It came back up. It didn't go down good. I don't know. Maybe work better for you, Scott.
Sutra was the lady that inspired with the Romulan guy, and they got down together, and they anyway. How
a spoonful?
Yeah, I'm great. So I don't want to jump ahead, but so it's like, is that like Kama Sutra? Is that what her name is? Referring to? Because she was pretty sexy looking, right?
Speaking of which, let's tell you what our friend Dr. Anne-Marie said. She said, because, last night after everybody watched it, all the nerd groups start going. And she says, also, how weird is it to have a framed video that plays on repeat of kissing? Bruce was a virgin till he was like 40. It's like, does he have porno on his phone? It's like soft porn where they're just making out. But then she also said, with reference to what you're saying, she says, almost as weird as Maddox making a sex doll and naming her Sutra, and no one in the Picard crew even flinching.
Yeah.
I was calling her Copper Sutra. Copper colored.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Just only gets worse. And finally, Mr. Don Crandall says, forget a fistful of datas. We got a whole planet full of datas. He also reminds us that on Enterprise, Eric Soong, who was the descendant of Noonien Soong and now whatever this guy's name was, Alton Lister Soong. I added the Lister because he was a basketball player in the 80s. He says that he mentioned at the end of that Enterprise episode that he's going to start studying the cybernetics, and he says it might take a generation or two, which was kind of a little foreshadowing to this.
And here we are.
What did you think of it, Scott Baker, by the way?
I thought it was an interesting episode. I had to watch it twice to catch some of the stuff that was really going on with it, but broad strokes, it's a great first part of a two-parter. Obviously, it's setting up some crazy confrontations. I enjoyed the episode. A lot of twists and turns there, with it.
Also, by the way, before we get too far into that, Scott Baker, writer, director, producer of Fifth Passenger. So if you are looking for something to watch online during this quarantine period, check out Fifth Passenger. Can you give us 20 seconds on that?
It's a sci-fi thriller about 5 people in an escape pod after their spaceship blows up, starring some of our great friends, Tim Russ, Doug Jones, Armin Shimmerman, Marina Sirtis, Manwin Taremi, Hannah Hate, Ryan Husk, Darnell Davis, Rico Anderson. So it's a fun
David
feature.
Lim.
David Lim of SWAT. Morgan Larai is the lead. You can see it on Amazon Prime or any of the other places that you watch movies. I'm not sure internationally if people are watching this. I'm not sure different countries how it's available, but definitely in the United States you can watch on Amazon Prime and iTunes and all those other places that you get movies.
Cool.
Yeah.
And the next movie, Sixth Passenger, will be starring none other than Sirach Lofton.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Actually, it's
news to me.
Yeah. It's actually it's like 90-minute monologue of Sirach with his ceiling fan. It's good.
I can't wait.
It's CTV.
I'm stuck in a vent. in between floors. It's an amazing maze to try to see.
Yeah, on his phone.
So,
trying to get signal.
Save us, Rock. What do you think of the episode here?
Well, there's a lot of things in the episode. There were some things. I mean, we've been getting this build up, and they've been building these characters up now. We've been building up the Romulans now, and their chase to destroy the destroyers, right, or the artificial intelligence that's been created. So we've been built up, and I feel like we're getting to the place where I'm almost kind of expecting some of these things, so I haven't been too surprised. I think the biggest surprise that I got from me in this episode was when she did the mind meld on Soji or on Dr. Agnes,
right,
and saw something different than everybody else has been seeing. So I didn't. That was the thing, that the real twist that I got out of it. I was like, okay, I was expecting her to see the planet blow up and the lady's face getting ripped over the way they've been showing that same little clip. And I thought maybe they'd get a little bit more into it. But then they went completely into a whole nother direction. And I was like, whoa, what is this? This is not what I was expecting. So that was pretty much.
Scott, tell me if you got the same feeling on this, but it seemed like what they were saying was that message was never meant for the Romulans. They read it and thought it was a warning, but really the message was for the other synthetics, and it wasn't a warning. It was more like a instruction kind of manual. Or
well, it's the sort of they had mentioned the term self-fulfilling prophecy, or that's almost kind of what it is. You see it a lot in these a lot of like time travel movies where somebody sends a message in the past to try to stop something from happening, and then that actually creates the thing that in the future, like in Terminator, they send the Terminator back, and then that's what leads the technology that creates the Terminators in the future that leads to the destruction. Right. So it's almost like them creating this doomsday scenario of, oh my God, the synthetic life forms are gonna destroy all of organic life, and so we need to stop them, and then that makes the synthetic life forms have to rise up and rebel and want to kill everybody. So it's almost like the message is the same for both sides, but some people see it as a warning and other people see it as like a call to action sort of thing,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's an interesting concept to have in this world,
Yeah, I mean, what did you think about the orchid? These orchid ships, flower things. What did you think about those?
I still don't know what to think about those. I watched it twice, and I'm still like, what the heck just happened? Like, was it like saving them, or did it just drag them down to the planet to destroy them? Was that it was just to drag them down and destroy them in the burning up in the atmosphere?
I had to watch it a second time to kind of put that together too, because at first I was like, what is actually happening? I wasn't able to figure it out. And then, upon second viewing, they're basically like kamikaze or suicide bombers is what they do. Is they come out, they latch on to whatever the hostile thing is, they grab it, they envelop it to the best of their ability, and they explode and short circuit whatever the thing was. What I found a little peculiar was one of these orchids takes out La Serena, right? Not even that much. I mean, it was still intact. It just kind of short circuits them, right? But it only takes 4 of those things to take out this gigantic Borg cube that's like 1 million times the size of the other ship. But whatever. I guess the whole point of it is that they just kind of grab something and short circuit it, and then it's like a suicide bomber.
Yeah, and I was sad to see the Borg cube go so soon. I was hoping that was going to play a larger part. I mean, maybe they're going to get it back online or something, but I mean, like, I was hoping that the whole Borg thing was going to be a bigger part of the story going forward,
Yeah. I have to agree. I thought the Borg thing was going, I do too. And I thought that they were setting it up more for like the Borg versus the Romulans kind of a deal.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Maybe Yeah. Maybe the real Borg is going to come in at some point, and it's going to be the Borgs against the synthetics or something.
It could be, but now we have like the third version of Sochi, right? So her twin sister died in the first episode. Then we found her, and now this is the third one, right?
Yeah, there's so many of them, and there's also Jana too that we've got now as well. There's just so many of these guys now.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting because the Copper Soji, I get what's her name. Copper Sutra.
Copper Sutra, right? Come on, that's an easy way to remember it. Copper Sutra.
I thought that Copper Sutra was more human acting than Soji, who has been living abroad, studying abroad, interacting with different races, and her twin sister or whatever, her copy clone, is living on that planet amongst other synthetic life, but has more human characteristics about her personality than the more monotone kind of robotic Sochi. I thought that was weird.
Yeah, she's more human than human.
Sochi always had this sort of like naivete of this sort of like doesn't quite grasp what's going on in the situation that she's in. Even before she knew she was an android, she's still kind of like there was something about how the character was played. I don't know if that's how it was supposed to be in the script or the acting, but it still kind of felt like she really wasn't sure of her place in where she was. And then obviously when she discovered that she was an android, that's an understandable thing of like, wait a minute, I have all these new half memories, and can I believe the old memories I have? And there's this constant like identity crisis of who am I and where do I fit in what's going on sort of thing.
Right. She's kind of got the disadvantage of really only waking up to reality, a few days ago in whatever timeline they're in. I don't know if it's been a few days or a couple of weeks or whatever. Whereas the others that are on the planet, they've known what they are and who they are for their entire lives, whether they've only been alive for 2 days or they're toddlers like Soji at 3 years old or whatever. Whereas Soji, she's almost like a newborn right now, like grasping this new reality and only kind of getting bits and pieces of old memories. So, but you're right that like Copper Sutra acts kind of devious, kind of a little sinister,
lore.
Yeah. Some people were saying that they think that Alton Soong is going to be revealed to be lore after like an aging process.
That'd be interesting.
If I buy that one, it would be fun, but I don't know if I buy that one.
That would be fun.
Yeah. I was just going to say when Soong, Alton Soong, when he reveals himself, I was kind of expecting him, because his middle name is Inigo. He was going to say, my name is Dr. Alton Inigo Soong. You killed my synth. Prepare to die.
Yeah. And that's from the, what is that?
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Princess Bride, right.
I only dog paddle.
Yeah.
So I think a fun moment in the beginning for me was it opens up and they're going through this wormhole and the ship's like shaking and it's falling apart and everybody's like, oh my God. And then they get through the wormhole and then they fight the Romulan ship and they're like, oh, all right, everybody better buckle in and put your seatbelt on. And it's like they go through this wormhole.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I thought that that aside, I thought the little battle was fun. It was like well executed from like a cinematic standpoint. It was a fun fight scene that good to see like Picard now that we're in 2020 and how like technology and VFX has come compared to like how TNG was and stuff like that. To see the progression of that, the cinematic aspect of the show feeling feeling so much more higher quality than, you know, the 90s TV show was.
Right. I noticed the same thing, that the little space battle was actually really good. I really enjoyed that little space battle between those two ships coming at each other, and the sound was cool, and the special effects were cool. It was cool hearing what is his name? Rio saying "Puta madre." We're like, hey, we're not native Chileans, but we know what that means.
Mm-hmm. It means here's some fun, right?
It means buckle up.
There was a lot going on in that opening scene. I think what stuck to me a little bit was the speech that Picard gave. Mm-hmm. That stood out to me because I don't remember a leader or a captain basically saying, "Hey guys, I'm going to die soon," and just, you know, never mind that. And it was really kind of a humbling thing the way he did it. And there was a line as he said, "As a dying man, you run the risk of pissing me off."
Yeah, and I treat you like one. Yeah. Yeah,
and I like that line.
Yeah, and it's so Picard. It's well written in that sense that that's definitely how he would approach that sort of thing. You know, especially like because
a little talking. Picard is the king of having a talking session. When like announcement, okay, I have to say that, you know, the thing, I'm sick and you'll have to deal with it, and that's it. That's all I have to say. So he's the king of like having this announcement speech ceremony. He has one later on in this episode when he tells the synthetics, "No, I'll go forward and represent you, and I'll tell Starfleet." And he does a speech, and no, my speech will save the day.
Yeah,
and they're all looking at him like, "No, your speech is not going to fix what's going on."
Right. Yeah, we all kind of had that sense. As soon as he starts talking, we all know, dude, it's a losing battle. It's not listening.
Yeah.
They're kind of just like, just let him talk and get. I mean,
let him get it out.
But I noticed in that scene, the way he was talking, I realized that his voice has changed, because it used to be up here, you know, and now it's down and low and slow. And I was thinking, the way he delivers it now, it sounds like Falcor. I could hear him going, "I'm a luck dragon," you know, like, like it's Captain Falcard now.
Falcard.
So I was watching it, like there's definitely like he's setting everybody up. I'm gonna die. Like he's like, you know, don't talk about it, but you know, we all know it's gonna happen. It's this reality of all this kind of stuff. So as far as the show goes, I mean, are they setting it like, is Picard gonna die at the end of the first season? Is there gonna be a second season? Can there be a Star Trek Picard without Picard? Or what like how long do they stretch this out, you know, to
I think he's going to die at the end of the third season, and I think it's going to be a sacrifice that he makes to save the day or save the world or save whatever. And somebody is going to say something like, you know, because he's already dying and he's looking for the cherry on the top of his career and of his life, especially because he doesn't want to die, you know, like a doddering old man. He wants to go out in a blaze of glory. And I think there's going to be like a line where somebody says like, "Are you sure?" And he's going to say like, "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," or something probably better written, but something juicy like that.
Well, I mean, you know, this season so far, and this mission, as Sochi points out, is about his redemption from what happened with you know, the Romulans and Mars, and like he's obviously seeking that kind of redemption, and that's what's keeping him going. It's not just this sort of quixotic thing chasing windmills. He's really trying to find that redemption in his life.
It's funny because his redemption is actually going to screw the Romulans again.
So, that's true.
So it's like they're like, "Look, can you stop trying to be doing the right thing, man? Doing the right thing is causing us a lot of problems."
Yeah, well, isn't that the story of like the Romulans throughout like Star Trek? Is that they you know, Federation tries to help them and then they fuck it up, and then by helping them, well, now we have to hold you accountable. Or like in JJ's first Star Trek. I mean, that whole thing is about, trying to save things, and then, the Romulans are pissed off because their world got destroyed, and,
Yeah.
Such is the life.
Point, though, that the Romulans, they kind of keep flipping back and forth between being, the victim or then being the, the oppressor or whatever, because first they're being evacuated, and then everybody's saving them and they're the victim. And then they're kind of like in a different type of situation to where they're trying to take out synthetic life. And so now they're becoming the enemy. And yeah, you're right. I mean, Picard he's trying to just stop the war completely, but they're kind of setting up a situation where he has to pick a side. And the other characters on his ship, are picking a side.
I like Rafi's line in this episode. She said they were getting ready to get off the ship, and they're all packing up their guns and getting ready with their, they don't know what's out there. And Rafi says, yeah, there could be a bunch of crazy reptoids or asshole Romulan X's.
Yeah.
And I kind of like, it's just like a little thing. And then Soji shows her little comedic, she opens up and she says something about homicidal fungus. You never know what's out there. It could be homicidal fungus. So she actually jokes, and I wrote that down because I don't remember her.
Well, Michelle,
being really joking.
Rafi did mention fungi too, and so then Soji Berry was kind of replying to that.
She was, but she was saying it in a joking. That was it was a joke, essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let me know that she's capable of, that kind of a humor.
Yeah, and like the last, was it the episode when they see Deanna Troi and everything, and they're talking about Data, and they're like, oh yeah, Data was very funny, except when he was trying to be, but she can actually, she actually has the ability to know jokes and understand comedy,
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're going to go to a break in just a minute here, but I mean, this was one of the best episodes for sure. Especially, at least for me, because not only do we get another Soong, we get, Alton Soong, which was just amazing. So this is him playing a third Soong character in a third series. But also we get to see Spot too. Spot was Data's cat on the Enterprise in Next Generation, and we all loved Spot, and he loved Spot, and there's a great scene with him and Worf when Data you remember that when Data thinks he's going off and he might die, and he's telling Worf to like take care of the cat, and he says, will you feed him? He goes, yes, whatever. And he says, and tell him he's a pretty at, and tell him he's a nice, good boy, or whatever like that. And then Worf goes, I will feed him. Funny scene. But it was good to see
the only thing I didn't like about the line was the cliche line, look what the cat dragged in. It was a little bit, I was like, who used that? That line's been done too much. Look at what the cat dragged in.
Yeah,
and then they cut right to the cat.
It could have been worse. They could have said, "Who let the dogs out?"
Who let the dogs out?
So I guess we're gonna take a break real quick. And
let's
recollect ourselves, because you guys got Ryan-itis.
Some more Kama Sutra.
Copper Sutra. All right, so we're gonna be right back with the seventh rule. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton and writer, director, producer Scotty Baker.
Ooh.
My name's Ryan T. Husk. We are reviewing Picard's episode 9 of the first season. We'll talk about what that title is in just a second. The trivioids that didn't make the cutting room floor, Aggie knows how to duck and cover, because at the very beginning she's doing the duck and cover, and she's like, please be over, please, which reminded me of Beverly Crusher when she's like, you're not real, in one of these Next Generation episodes. La Sirena gets eaten by a giant flower. We covered that. Noonan's son is a mad scientist. I think that's cool that he introduced himself as a mad scientist. The spoonful of sutra and whatever else. You guys didn't like that one, so I'm not going through it.
Yeah.
And that's it. So Scott Baker has some information on the title.
Yeah. So et in Arcadia ego is refers to a famous Italian painting. There's a couple versions of it, but Arcadia is in the sort of Greek mythology. This place that's sort of idyllic and simple, where people are farmers. It's like the sort of a callback to sort of like, you know, what we would say in America, the sort of like little house on the prairie kind of lifestyle, where everything is kind of perfect and pure. And but the title literally means even in Arcadia, here I am. And the picture is of some shepherds looking at a tomb. And so the inference is that even here in this idyllic world, there's death. Here I am, death. But the double meaning of the painting also is that the shepherds are looking at their shadow that's being cast onto the tomb, and that's a sort of symbolism for them looking at that as art. Like they're seeing their own shadow there as sort of a work of art, and there's like a beautiful maiden also in the picture. And so it's that art is the unique human response to us understanding our own mortality, knowing that we will die, and that there's some form of immortality we can have as mortal beings in creating artworks that will last longer than our existence on this planet is. And so I think that's a great allusion to what this episode is about, you know, these synthetic life forms being a sort of work of art, and they're living in their sort of idyllic world. And, you know, the whatchamacallit, the prophecy or whatever it is, you know, talking about humans' desire to create perfection, but then seeing those things that they created don't age as they age and die and stuff like that. So, yeah.
See, Sirach, this is why we can't have Scott back on. He's showing us up. You know, we're gonna have to step up our game now.
Yeah, we gotta do a lot more research.
And we're just doing like wordplay for 45 minutes.
It was like 10 minutes on Wikipedia, but you know.
Sounds exhausting.
And the gallery that you rented that piece of art from.
Yeah.
I really like that, and I like to pay attention to how the writers use different themes, how they steal. You know, in this case, they're using this famous Latin reference. Is that what this is?
Mm-hmm.
And they extrapolate from it, and they're really good at tying all these things in. I really think that they deserve a lot of credit for the little jewels that they're able to hide into the text and the title. I mean, they don't waste much space, right? So even in the title, they want to make sure that they're giving something across. So I think that's tremendous job on the writer's part.
Yeah, and it just, I think, goes to show that the depths to what the story, the meaning. It's not just like, oh, and this happens, and it would be cool if the robots were fighting this thing, and you know, there's so much more philosophical stuff behind it, and like why I love Star Trek so much. And you know, one of my favorite episodes of like TNG is with Data is A Measure of a Man, and that's this very philosophical thing about what you know, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be, you know, self-aware and stuff like that? And obviously a lot of those themes, that's where Bruce Maddox and all that kind of stuff comes into this whole show. Right. Is that episode really has a lot to do with what we're watching now. But that's why I like Sci-Fi. That's why I like Star Trek, because each of those episodes was like an opportunity to sort of explore these topics of humanity and science and religion and philosophy and stuff like that, ethics and morals.
Right. Measure of a Man is a lot of people's top 5 episodes of Next Generation, written by Melinda Snodgrass. I think it was season 3, possibly season 2, but I think it's 3. A lot of people really like that one. That's where Bruce Maddox comes from, as you mentioned. It's a really good one. Got nothing more to add to that, but they did mention that it was kind of a touchstone for Picard. Like they said that there are going to be a few things that come from. One, is the Romulan star going supernova in the 2009 movie. They mentioned that was going to be kind of a touchstone. They mentioned Measure of a Man's going to have a little bit to do in there. So it's cool to see where they pulled from within the vast universe of Star Trek. I do also want to point out yet again that Michelle Hurd is just killing me with how good her acting is. Like she just emotes so well. It's not even so much, the just the character or whatever that she's portraying that's in any way really that extreme or whatever. It's just that she's so good at emoting constantly. And I thought she had a really good comedic line when they said when she said 5 bogeys on her tail, and Rio says, "What kind of bogeys?" And she's like, okay, I want to say like a giant flower. that was funny on the page, but she also delivered it. I actually went back and watched that like 3 times, that just the way she delivered that line, it was so good. And when Picard tells her that, when he announces that he's got the head issue, and he's like, so, what's our situation? And she's trying to give the situation at the same time as she's fighting back the emotions of what he just gave her. And just throughout the episode, she's just constantly pulling out like her soul, like the emotions in her soul, and just putting them in front of every scene, in front of every word. And I'm constantly very happy that they picked her, because I've never seen her before or heard of her, and she's just been amazing.
Yeah. Erotic syndrome. That was the sorry, go off topic there.
We got, and that's another touchstone from All Good Things, the final episode of Star Trek Next Generation. Rock, sorry.
No, I was just going to say the scene that she had with Picard, where she basically asked Picard, "Do you love me?"
Yeah.
And it was so hard for him to say it, but he finally said, "I love you too, Rafi." But then he walked away, and he didn't want to bask in the moment. And somebody was talking to him, like, "Hey, I want to ask you a question." And he walked past him like, "I can't talk right now. I'm all."
He gave him the hand. That's right. It was Rios, and he gave him the hand.
Yeah. Nope.
Rios was saying that aggressive Aggie was going to have a sleepover with him. He's like, "I don't want to hear it, damn it."
I'm not in the mood right now. So, and I like that. Just that small little subtle thing. And I don't know if we've seen, is it like something in the canon that Picard gets emotional and doesn't like to say "I love yous" to people or something? Or has he really got really emotional about that?
I don't know if they specifically touched the "I love you" thing, but when he was Captain Picard of the Enterprise throughout Next Generation, the movies, he always kept a distance between himself and his crew. He never got too emotional with them or too close. I mean, he became very close
with Beverly
professionally, but even with Beverly,
really close with Beverly.
Are you talking about like the 3rd episode when he's leaning on the thing? He's like, But other than that, he really. Well, I guess in All Good Things, they did say that they ended up getting married and then divorced.
Yeah.
But
Beverly.
There was the one of the earlier episodes of this show when he's talking to Legolas. He says something about
maybe Elrond. You mean?
Yeah. He says something about how he before never really showed emotions, and that's why he was kind of distant with him and stuff like that.
That's true. Did mention that. And then the other thing, the aromatic syndrome, Sirach, is in the final 2-part episode of the series for Next Generation. He goes forward in time, and he's like kind of a senile old man, and it's because he developed this thing called aromatic syndrome, which kind of makes him go crazy. And so we know at the end of that at some point it's likely that he's going to develop that, because we saw him 30 years in the future and he had it very strongly. And now this is like 20 years in the future or 25 years. So we know that that's already coming on. So when
it's coming,
when they mentioned it, we all go, damn, he does have it.
Yeah. Well, there was something about it being like causing hallucinations and stuff like that too. And so the idea that like at some point, he may may not understand what reality is, and are like, even now, are we seeing what's really happening? Are we seeing his hallucinations? You know, I doubt they're gonna. I doubt they're gonna do that sort of thing with the show. But it's always an interesting idea as we move forward with the show to see that, like, okay, how are these like hallucinations going to play sort of in his perception of what's going on now that he's on house arrest.
It's funny because while you were talking, I just thought of the line that I called him Dr. Data. What's his name in this episode?
You remember Alton Lister, the center?
Alton Lister.
He was a center for the Warriors during like the Run TMC days. Well, I was hoping that would help, but his name is Alton. That's how I remember it. Alton Lister. Alton Inigo Soong. That's nice.
And that Inigo Soong. Yeah, so I called him Dr. Data. Okay. Dr. Data.
Yeah, I like Dr. Data better.
And Dr. Data, I like the line when he says, "We're not all machines here. Get them some water," or something like that. Yeah, that was a good line that I threw in there. And I like
parched.
And I like Brent Spiner's his energy in general, because he does bring us a sense of humor and kind of. The one thing I didn't understand was how he would be able to have watched Picard give the interview that he gave in the pilot episode with the news corporation, talking about the Romulans, and I had to do what I had to do. Right. And so later on here in this episode, Picard says something to him like, "Yeah, I'll go and talk to Federation. They'll listen to me." And Dr. Data said, "They won't listen to you. You know," and it just made it look like he had watched that episode or watched that interview, right? And I'm thinking, if they're 25 light years away, you know, there's a whole other part of the galaxy, I doubt that he was flipping through the channels and say, "Hey, what's Picard say? What is that?"
Where's the Picard channel? I want to listen. I need some direction in my life.
What the hell's Picard talking about these days?
Yeah, so obviously that story would be trending. I mean, he's going to see that, and whatever the version of Twitter is, right. I mean, that's going to be up there. You know, hashtag
Picard had a meltdown.
Yeah. Hashtag Picard meltdown. Hashtag fuck the Federation or whatever. You know. Oh, sorry. Am I allowed to say the F word on your show?
It all depends on how Ryan's feeling today.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean,
I feel pretty relaxed.
All right. And they mentioned an alliance of synthetic life, so we're gonna see like other synthetic life forms somewhere else, like that we haven't been introduced to yet. Is that what we're expecting?
C-3PO? Anyone?
We don't know.
R2-D2?
But it is like he did say it's like a federation of synthetics that just kind of like, almost like they're omniscient. They watch over all, you know, the universe. Yeah. And when they find a new synthetic life, they kind of they plant the seed to say, "Hey, don't worry, we got your back. When they try to kill you, we'll kill them," kind of thing.
Yeah, so we're going to see like a synthetic army emerging with its own like way of fighting. I hope they get rid of the flower ships, because I wasn't a big fan of the.
What if the reason the Romulans call Soji Berry the Destroyer is because she is the destroyer for the synthetics. Like when the synthetics come and they try to wipe out humanity, and Soji Berry's like, "That's just not right. That doesn't sit well with me." And she is the destroyer of those other guys. Maybe that prophecy will come true. It's kind of like one of those things where they're always like, Game of Thrones did that well too, where it's like there's this prophecy, but you're not really sure exactly how to interpret it. You think you know, and then it's interpreted a different way or whatever.
I wouldn't bring up the Game of Thrones because they ended up just pretending that the prophecy didn't even happen. It didn't matter for all you Game of Thrones fans. The Azor Ahai or whatever is like, and that didn't even really matter. On to the next.
They're like, what? I don't pay attention. Who cares? We just do this last episode.
I think Dr. Agnes, what's up with her, man? She completely defected at the last second. She's like, "Hey guys, can I roll with you?"
Yeah.
I'm down with the synthetic mob. And basically, they got vouched for by Dr. Data, who obviously wants to, looks like, hook up with her. And I'm thinking she's just hooking up with everybody on this show.
Yeah. Now, she's been pretty fortunate. Everybody's been pretty forgiving to her through this whole process.
Yeah.
Because of how aggressive she is. But, there is something that's very Star Trek, a trope that's very Star Trek that they might be using here, which is the person sees that they see which way the wind is blowing, and they pretend to be with the bad guys because she knows if I stick with Picard here, they're going to put me in jail, or whatever they're going to do with Picard, they're going to whisk me away. And the only way that I have any influence or power or any ability to save anyone or anything is by being like, yeah, I'm on your side, Grandpa Data, or whatever,
Mm-hmm. See, I thought that about Sochi when I was watching it.
That's also possible.
I thought Sochi was saying, yeah, lock him up. He's a threat to us, but really not on their side.
Right. Well, Data did that in First Contact. He did exactly that, where the Borg Queen was like, hey, come join me and be whatever, my first officer and my boyfriend. And he's like, totally will do that. And then he turns on her and kills her. And she's like, Data. And then Picard's like, anyway, we don't need to go through the whole thing. But yeah, he did that. We also had, remember when we were talking about just a couple weeks ago, Sirach, where I was saying, like, every single time in Next Generation especially, but also on Deep Space Nine a lot, the number one used Star Trek thing, when it's like a formula they have, which is when the away team lands on a planet, everybody's outside in a town square.
Gathered together. Yeah,
they're always. I was saying, like, they're always together in a town square outside. It's a beautiful day. There's people wandering around outside. There's some people playing chess off to the side. There's some kids playing hacky sack in the corner, and an old guy pops in to welcome them. And I'm like, this checks off every single one of the things that
single one. Yeah.
They had the chess game. They had the kids playing soccer or whatever. And Rios kicks it back to him. So
look, everybody, look who's here visiting our planet.
Yeah, Star Trek's sticking with their roots, man. Good job, Star Trek.
It's these strange people with phasers in their hands. Let's go welcome them.
Or it's the other thing where the away team is disguised as the natives, and it's the same thing happening, and they just kind of walk in like, oh, hey, we're from that town across the way.
They do that, yeah. They say your accent sounds like, oh, they must be Northerners. Yeah.
Yeah, we're Northerners, yeah.
Yeah, the good old town gathering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they've used that over and over. They pull that out of the well whenever they can. One of the other things that they brought up was the logic of sacrifice. It came out as one of the, and she was asking Picard about, what is the logic of sacrifice? And I thought that was interesting, just concept to think about, the logic of sacrifice, the good of the many outweigh the good of the few, right?
Yeah.
In chess, we sacrifice pieces to get the checkmate.
Totally.
Right. To gain advantage or to move the board around. So the logic of sacrifice, I thought, was interesting, just topic wise.
Yeah. And I, it wasn't until the second viewing that I realized what happened at the end, that it was Sutra that killed Saga. I thought that, like, the guy had tricked. I was like, the whole timeline didn't make sense because because you heard her scream, but then he was already gone. And then how did she end up there dead? And it was like, oh, he let her go, or she let him go, and then she killed her sister or whatever. She killed Saga.
Or, I don't know if she killed her or if Nerold killed her, Narek, but probably her. One thing I did raise my eyebrow, kind of like a Vulcan, about was that, I mean, Data's pretty badass, and these guys are supposed to be even better than Data. There are improvements upon him. And this android gets killed, destroyed, offline, gone forever from a brooch to the eye. And I'm like, that's why is she dead from that? I don't see what the problem is. Like, that's like, if someone breaks off your, the P, the P key on your keyboard or something, like, okay, just replace it. But how did that little brooch to the eye kill her? I mean, that kind of didn't...
maybe just short circuit her and shut her down temporarily and something. And also in the same vein, like if Sutra really wanted to catch him, she could probably run 30 miles an hour, right? She could probably just run and catch him and tackle him. So obviously,
or any one of them could.
Obviously,
anyone could have. Any one of them could have, because he literally was running off into the distance. Like, I'm thinking, wait a minute, they can run like 10 times faster than.
Yeah, and he's beaten up and thirsty. Probably Dr. Data probably could have caught him. You know.
No, she definitely let him. She definitely, she said she wanted to kill him. But she said he has more usefulness, and we don't know exactly what that is. But basically, we know that she let him go to do whatever. To
start this war, to start this war. Mm-hmm. She wants the war to go down. She's letting it go down because she wants to see it happen and needs provocation. It's perfect, Yeah.
I'm glad you said that she wanted it to go down, because then that reminds me that we did say a spoonful of Sutra and some Romulan go down, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I'm just saying, you just validated that.
I did inadvertently, ladies and gentlemen.
You gave Ryan an opportunity to prove himself right. Good job, Tarak.
Softly to listen to me. They would listen to me. Yeah. I have one quick little insert though, guys.
Yeah, please.
7 of 9. She always looks like she just came out of the shower with the fresh, the wet hair.
Yeah.
Because I thought about that when I saw her, and I was like, wow, she's got that fresh out the shower, perfect hairdo, right? When she comes off and she's like, hey, you gonna help clean up around here? And she kicks off the body. And I just thought, wow, this is a good hair day for her.
Every day is a good hair day when you're 7 of 9.
Okay, all right.
No, but that's true. She does have perfect hair every time, and I did kind of want to ask on that subject. Like, they just show up, they say hi to 7, they say hi to baby Elrond, and then they're like, so anyway, good seeing you, and like,
I'll never see you again.
Why didn't I just kind of felt like, why did they keep that crew split off? Like, wouldn't it be better to have baby Elrond with Picard, because he's not a guy that's going to fix the Borg cube. He's more of a guy that needs to be protecting the away team.
Well, because he's got to come later, because if he came with them now, then he would be on house arrest, or he would be having to fight the androids to keep Picard from being But I think an important thing is that near the very end, it was just a brief moment, but Dr. Data reveals this golem to Agnes. And it's the whole mind transfer and this sort of transhumanism idea that you can put your mind into an android and continue living forever. And so obviously I think that's going to have some implications later on, whether it's the next episode or next season or something like that.
And we got a couple minutes left, and I want to know, do you guys have any predictions for how that's going to play out with that golem?
I don't know. I mean, I think that might be sort of like what they're setting up as like the compromise sort of between the synthetics and the organics, is that, we can all be, we can have these golem people, or maybe it's a way to bring Data back, or who knows.
Well, I definitely think that it's about Dr. Agnes showing her skills in her profession, because I think Dr. Data was like, I don't know how to do that. I only design bodies, right? I just designed the outside of this race car. If anybody had an engine that they could put in it, it'd be nice. Right? So that's kind of what I got from that. It was like, okay. And that's why she stepped up. It was like, hey, I think you need me right about now. I specialize in the exact thing that you need to complete your little golem project, right?
And maybe Soong himself will be the one who's trying to transfer his brain into that thing, and he needs her help to facilitate that.
I think it's too soon to know.
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon.
Oh, wordplay that went over my head for at least 2 seconds.
You're lucky. You're lucky it did.
At least 2 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, that was good. That was cool. That was a good one by Scott Baker. So we have a couple minutes left. Yeah, 7 of 9, and
Locutus
didn't get much play today, but they're still around. They might be running into Narek, aka Nerold, because as you saw when he was running away, he was running towards the Borg cube. So he's going to be doing some shenanigans with the Borg cube, it seems.
Are there any other cameos from any of the original shows that we missed or that haven't happened yet that might be a surprise in the last episode?
I think
any like actors that we know are supposed to be in it.
If I had to predict, I think Captain Worf is going to show up in the final at the end of the final episode next week. I think Captain Worf's going to show up.
Do we have? Has there been anything online or on IMDb or anything like that of like actors that were to be in the show that we haven't seen yet? Any big names, or have we seen everybody that's been like officially announced?
There have not been. Beverly was at the premiere, in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. So maybe she's hanging out to be a buddy because LeVar was there too. Michael Dorn was not there, but there was a little piece of information a while ago where there was a signed clapper, and it had like the cast signing it, and one of the signatures was Michael Dorn. So of course they say he was just visiting the set that day. Totally possible, totally plausible and likely. But it's also possible that the fans have been clamoring for a Captain Worf series for many, many years. And all that talk kind of got quiet. And I think he might pop up.
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen at this end of this season. I think they're going to close this season out on this two-parter, give us a little bit of a showdown for the cliffhanger part to keep us on the hook for season 2. And then I think they're going to save the cameo for the opening of season 2, the beginning of season 2.
It would be fun. I mean, like what they did in season 2 of Discovery, like having the Enterprise come in at the end of that, sort of like
deliver it.
Sort of like, hey, here's a big like surprise / cliffhanger to get you for the next episode, the next season of
where they close off the season and they're like, well, we got 20 seconds left, so here's something to stay on for a year.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're just out of time. Do your Sulu impression, Scott.
Oh my, yeah.
Good.
Oh my. Very good, very good.
So we do want to thank Mr. Scotty Baker for joining us. Check out Fifth Passenger at fifthpassenger.com. You can watch it online.
Thanks for having me.
Sci-Fi.
And you can see my Star Trek fan film called Cease and Desist, an animated little fun piece that I did all the voices for.
It was fun.
You can see it at it's a StarTrekFanFilm.com, or it's on YouTube under Cease and Desist Star Trek fan film. So.
Wow, you got Sirach writing it down.
Star Trek fan film Cease and Desist. I want to see that. It's animated, you said, right?
Yeah, kinda animated. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not a real good animator, so I took screenshots from the original series and like took them into Photoshop and drew over them and gave them little animation and did all the dumb voices. And
I want to hear it. I want to see it. It sounds like fun. Right now we're all in quarantine, so we have to catch up on as much information as we can.
We need stuff to do.
We have plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean it's only like 4 minutes long, so
okay. Well, I can make 4 minutes out of the day for you.
Yeah.
We also want to thank our associate producers Rex Wood, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Kat R. King, Yvette Blackmon, and Dr. Marie Segal. For Sirach Lofton, for Scott Baker, for Coolest Dude in the World, Aron Eisenberg, Russ Haslage, my name is Ryan T. Husk, and always remember the 7th rule.